Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the Tampa Bay Rays. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by People's United Bank. Need a new checking account? Don't pick one out of left field. People's United Bank, member FDIC. By Verizon, the most awarded network is now the best streaming network. And by the Aetna Better Health of New Jersey, healthcare provider of the game, Newark Community Health Centers. So Bautista with a chance to win it for New York. Bases loaded, 2 out. And Bautista sucks one to deep left field, and this ball game is over. A walk-off grand slam for Jose Bautista, the first walk-off home run of his major league career. What an ending. A remarkable moment last night here at Citi Field, and a pleasant good afternoon to you. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez with you today as the Mets and Rays play game 2 of their series. Jose Bautista has been an absolute revelation since coming to the Mets in May. He was released by the Braves after sitting out on the free agent market all winter. He has been phenomenal, and the question is, why has he had this turn in his career? Is it simply a matter of trying to prove he's not done?
Well, I know, right, Gary, one most important thing, you look at him right there on the screen, is that he is in shape. He's 37 years old. You get released by a ball club after really finding himself in Toronto with the Blue Jays. Had a wonderful career there in Toronto. Then you start hearing the whispers of the old age, 37, and you've really got to combat that as an athlete. Didn't work out for him in Atlanta. Gets a break here with the Mets, and he has been phenomenal. You know, he's just have an on-base percentage over 400. He's scored 18 runs and driven in 18 runs in his 25 starts, and he's earned the starting spot in right field. He's played great defense.
And with Cespedes and Bruce out of the lineup, he's had a chance to play every day. Meanwhile, Steven Matz goes to the mound for the Mets today, and all signs have been pointing up for Steven over the last 2 months.
Well, he has turned the corner. Last 11 starts, he's got an ERA below 3, which is outstanding. Now, the club hasn't scored a lot of runs for him. He's coming off a win where they didn't give him a lot of support, 5 innings in Miami, but he's looking to keep it rolling. I really like that he's not giving away his changeup, and he's really snapping that curve off.
And one of the most exciting young pitchers in the American League, Blake Snell, goes for the Rays.
Well, 3rd year in the big leagues, first full year, and look at the numbers for him. He's got 11 wins. He's 3rd in the American League in ERA and wins. He's a strikeout guy with a blazing fastball. I have never seen him pitch. I'm looking forward to watching him.
So a battle of left-handed talented pitchers today at Citi Field on one of the 10 best days of the year. Gorgeous weather in New York. Come on back. It's the Mets and the Rays, all the action on SNY. on SNY is brought to you by Cash for Life from the New York Lottery. You could win $1,000 a day for life. By Geico, the #1 insurer in the New York market. And by Cadillac. Visit CadillacTristate.com for exceptional offers. Oh, Banner Day. Great Mets tradition.
Oh, how.
Tomorrow's McDonald's Family Sunday at Citi Field when the Mets take on the Rays at 1:10 p.m. The first 15,000 fans in attendance will receive a Yoenis Cespedes shin guard, courtesy of Foxwoods Casino. Plus, all kids 12 and under can run the bases post-game in the Mr. Met Dash presented by Northwell Health. For tickets, visit Mets.com/tickets. Cricket smile moment of the game. Well, that young man doing his best Brandon Nimmo impression. It's the happiest kid in baseball. Steven Matz on a beautiful day in New York, making his way in. His first pitch is coming right up. Didn't get off to a great start. Remember, his foot got stuck in the bullpen gate, which opened unexpectedly. Looked like he might be banged up. His evening finished in a far more positive fashion. Here's the Tampa Bay starting lineup today. C.J. Cron in there against the left-hander, as is Carlos Gomez.
There's Matz's Toyota numbers. Look at that sparkling ERA. That has been on the decline for quite some time. He has been pitching brilliantly.
And his first pitch of the day is up and away for ball one. Kiermaier fouls one at the plate, and it's 1-1. Stevens' last 11 starts, he's pitched to a 2.92 ERA. Didn't give up an earned run his last start. Would have gone deeper into the game in Miami, but for the 3 errors the Mets made. Bounce down to third. Frazier gives ground, and they can't make the bare hand play. And Kiermaier is safe.
I'm kind of wondering why he wanted to even bear. I know it's going to be a tough play, but it was an easy backhand with the glove and an easy transfer. Tough bare hand play. I know that Kiermaier can fly, and that should be a base hit, don't you think, Aaron?
I think it's got to be a base hit. The question was the positioning, and he had to retreat, and I think the only chance he had was to try and barehand it, and it will be an infield hit for Kiermaier. So now Matt Duffy, who went 0 for 4 last night. Duffy starts the day 7th in the American League in batting at .310 in his comeback season after missing the most of the last 2 years with injuries. So Matt's last start began with an infield error. This one begins with an infield hit. Talked about the 3 errors the Mets made behind Matz the last time. Matz made one of those himself, and it probably cost him about 30 pitches extra to try and work around those errors. He wound up throwing 109 in 5 1/3 innings. Chopper back to Steven, and it's a foul ball that came off the foot of Duffy.
Well, I think it's part of Steven's maturation, Gare. Remember earlier on in his career, something would go wrong in the field, or you get a tough couple base hits, he'd blow up. And now it seems like he's jumped that hurdle now and has become much more professional, comports himself so much better on the mound, not so temperamental, not so much fighting himself.
You see what Steven's done since the 1st of May. And what's been especially notable is the way he's handled dicey situations with men on base. Goes upstairs with a fastball and gets ahead on Duffy, and gets even on Duffy 2-2. In those last 11 starts, opponents are hitting 167 with men on base, and even lower 137 with runners in scoring position. And that's a huge change for Steve. You see the numbers, and look at how much trouble he had those first 5 starts. And you know, it really has been sort of a simple change that Dave Island, the pitching coach, worked on with Matz, just to slow things down, take a deep breath when things get dicey.
Well, he used to scream at himself and scream into his glove when he just give up a base hit. I mean, no one throws a no-hitter every time out. It's very temperamental, and that's part of his competitiveness, which I like very much in Steven.
I mean, he's a perfectionist, and that's great. I mean, Clayton Kershaw yells at himself all the time on the mound when he makes a mistake, but you know, some guys are able to rechannel it better than others, and that's what Matz has been able to figure out.
And you know, Kershaw is a lot further along in his career than Matz is right now. This is Steven's 58th career start.
First came up in 2015, so often injured. Kiermaier runs, and Duffy fouls it off. But he's been able to stay healthy all year this year, and with great results.
And the Lexus Mets starting infield. It's a tandem there behind the plate. Plawecki gets the start today, which I find kind of interesting. They haven't made a choice of which one gets the lion's share of the playing time. And there's your outfield, with Nimmo moved to center field and Conforto back to the comforts of left field.
8th pitch to Duffy, flies it down the right field line. Bautista gets over, and that's the first out of the day. And Kiermaier, who was running, goes back to first. So 1 out and 1 on. And now Daniel Robertson, who was 1 for 3 last night. The original Rays lineup today had Robertson playing left field. Would have been only the 3rd time in his career. But Willie Adames, who was supposed to play second base, came up ill, and so they moved Robertson back to second base, a position with which he is much more familiar.
I didn't get the memo.
Yeah, I just got it right as we put up the lineup on the screen.
Ruins my card. Oh.
So they added Johnny Field to the lineup. Field is hitting 8th. and playing left field. Of course. Good fastball by Matz, thrown by Robertson, 0-1.
That's because I took a little snooze before the game here.
I hope you were refreshed.
Oh, I've got a story to tell you. I'll save it for later. But you know, I had to get my daughter who stayed over the weekend, and she had a 7:40 train back in, and I had to take her to the train station in Southampton at, you know, 7:20. That's why I napped.
Kiermaier runs. Plawecki's throw is a little high, and Kiermaier steals the base, his 6th of the year.
Well, he just broke from the belt. It's easier to steal off a left-hander. And if you just go once he breaks from his pause position at the belt, you take the gamble that he's going home, and it's going to be very difficult to throw you out.
Matz has been doing a better job as the season has gone along of holding runners, but that's the 19th steal against him this year in 21 tries, and that's the most in the National League. 2-1 to Robertson, and he takes a fastball inside, and Matz behind 3-1 with Wilson Ramos, the cleanup hitter, waiting on deck. Robertson, just 24 years old, former first-round pick of the Oakland Athletics. Rays have a lot of young players getting a lot of playing time for them. And a changeup that misses badly for ball 4, and the Rays have 2 men on. So Matt's still trying to get himself comfortable. 2 aboard with 1 out. Wilson Ramos coming up.
Well, this is the guy that's having the big year for Tampa. I always kind of early in the game when a pitcher's trying to find his rhythm, you know, a 3-2 changeup. Okay, if you make the pitch, great, but it's ball 4, first and second, even though an open base. Now you got 2 men on base for their big bat right here in Ramos, who has 12 home runs and 45 RBIs. They'd rather not give a free pass this early in the game, particularly the first inning.
Well, the other thing about Ramos, though, he's hit into 17 ground ball double plays this year, which is the most in the American League.
And he's also hitting .321 with 4 home runs against left-handers. So that's, you know, it's a double-edged sword there, Garrett.
Well, can you get him to hit it on the ground, or do you come upstairs to try and strike him out like that? And Matz is ahead of the count 0-2. To Ramos. He sails that fastball 1-2. Statcast powered by Amazon Web Services. Play pretty much straight up against Ramos.
Well, Ramos, what makes him such a good hitter is that he can go and drive that ball the opposite gap.
And that curveball just, oh, it's in there for a call strike 3. Nick Lentz giving it the full treatment, and Ramos is retired for the 2nd out.
Kind of bent it around. Not a great curveball here. Just the fact that it was on the outside. Mount wants it in. Oh, it's right down the pipe. Ramos vapor locked.
So that's the 2nd out. Matz has his first strikeout. Here's C.J. Cron, the first baseman. Cron leads the Rays in home runs with 16, but he's also struck out 93 times. That's top 10 in the American League.
No, 16 home runs and 39 RBIs. That's not a whole lot of clutch hitting right there. He's an all or nothing guy.
He had 16 home runs all of last year with the Angels. The Rays got him during spring training for a player to be named later. And he's mostly DH this year, but he's starting his 32nd game in the field playing first base. 2 on and 2 out, and Cron takes a fastball inside. 2-0.
Yeah, it's a nice starting time, 4 o'clock. Al, it beats 7 o'clock.
I was Al being skeptical about your game time.
Al the collar, geez, Al. It's better than 7. The day game tomorrow. It's better for the players, Al.
And that's ball 4, so a 4-pitch walk to Crone, and that loads the bases with 2 out for Danny Echeverria. So Matz, who has only walked 32 batters in 83 innings coming in, about 3.5 per 9, walks a pair in the first inning, and he's got a big out to get now against the former Marlin Echeverria. Remember, they got him from the Marlins last summer. And Echeverria has still played a ton this year, but they've got the youngster Adames, who is their shortstop of the future, and Echeverria probably in his last days as a Ray. Bases loaded, 2 out, and Matt's having trouble throwing a strike. That's 5 in a row he's missed with.
He's having trouble getting the ball down right now, Gary. He's up high, way high with that fastball.
And that's 6 in a row he's missed with.
He kind of aimed that one a little bit.
So after getting that curveball in for strike 3 to Ramos, the plate has started to move around on Matz.
I would not take this fastball if it's a strike.
He's a guy who swings, you know that, and he does. I mean, Echeverria has always been a guy who swings the bat, very rarely walks.
And that was a pitch to hit.
He's been one of their best hitters against lefties. .365 this year against left-handers. And now it's 3-1 with the bases full. Out to right field, and Bautista barely has to move an inch. And Matz finds his way clear. Again, he works himself out of a jam. That's come to bat at the bottom of the first, no score. We're 3-1 in July, by the way. Bautista in there again. So is Flores. Mets with only 2 left-hand batters in the lineup against Blake Snell, who has been just death to left-hand hitters. In fact, really good against everybody.
Well, it's a breakout year for him. 11-4, 3rd in wins, as I said in the open, 3rd in earned run average, a top 10 in strikeouts with 123. Look at his whip. That is just outstanding.
Nimmo 0 for 4 last night, and he takes a fastball away for ball 1.
More impressive with Blake Snell is in his last 3 starts, 2 of them were against Houston, and he went 7 innings in one and 7 in the third in the other, only gave up 1 run.
He's got an explosive fastball and can throw 4 pitches for strikes and has been effective with all 4 of his pitches.
Seattle, Washington native.
Gets the slider in for a strike, and it's 1-2.
6'4", 200 pounds, 25 years of age, first round pick in 2011 June draft out of high school.
He was the same year in high school in Seattle as Michael Conforto. Michael went to college at Oregon State. Snell signed out of high school, a first rounder.
Snell was going to go to Washington, University of Washington, become a Husky, but he signed with the Rays.
2-2 coming, and Nimmo takes it outside. 96, 3-2. Snell made his big league debut 2 years ago. Last year he made 24 starts for the Rays and a couple of trips to the minor leagues. Finished very strong and has carried that over to this year. Nimmo rifles one down the right field line, and he's got himself an extra base hit. Gomez to the corner to play it, and Nimmo stands at second base with a well-struck double.
Well, that's good to see from Brandon. He's hanging slider, stayed right in there and hit it like he should have. A big mistake right there. Brandon went 0 for 4 last night, but he did manage to score 2 runs. He always gets on base.
He just did a bullet against a pitcher who is limiting left-hand hitters to a 124 batting average. That's quite an accomplishment to start his day. Here's Bautista looking to build off his first ever walk-off home run last night. His 337th major league home run. Only one player has ever gone further into his home run hitting career before hitting his first walk-off, and that was Mark Teixeira. Mark Teixeira hit 409 big league home runs. The only walk-off that he hit was his last one. That's pretty amazing, right?
Yes, it is.
His last home run in the major leagues was a walk-off, although he did parenthetically hit one in the postseason for the Yankees against the Twins in '09, but his only one in the regular season.
Snell struggling a little bit right now, just missing.
Nimmo stealing third. The throw by Ramos on a hop, safe. Got it under the tag by Duffy. Good throw would have had him, but Ramos bounced it, and Nimmo picks up his 8th steal of the year.
I tell you what, if the throw is right there, he's out. But when it's a short hop, you got to work from the bottom up on the pickup. You got to come working, and momentum's coming up with your glove. Then you got to bring it down to make the tag. And let's see.
Was he on the base the whole time?
Oh, not sure if that left foot got in.
But did it come off?
Oh boy, he's out. He was not on the bag.
No, he was not.
And he would have been safe. You got to slide into that bag.
And the Rays are going to challenge it.
And they're going to win the challenge. You've got to slide into that bag. I've seen. I think that's enough there, Garrett, to overturn.
Yeah, I think so. There's
See,
no question he is. I mean, he barely ever gets to the bag. He doesn't touch until that left foot comes on. By that time, Duffy has had a tag on him for a long time.
Yeah, Duffy kept the tag on him.
So he's definitely going to be out.
Yep.
Yep. And so the call is overturned.
Correct call, Met fans. They're booing here. Those of them that are in the concession stand areas and the lounges around here that are watching our broadcast, it was the proper call.
Thanks for providing that clarity, Keith. They're probably, if they're watching in the lounge areas, as you call it, I think they're watching with the sound off. 2-1 to Bautista, and he swings through a fastball 2-2. Well, you know, at the end of the day, I mean, it's obviously great if you steal the base there, but with nobody out, that's a very risky play. Because of the old adages, you don't want to make the first or a third out at third base.
The other side of the coin is you got one of the best pitchers in the game, and you're trying to maybe one run's the difference.
That's the first base stealer who's been thrown out with Snell on the mound this year. They've been 6 for 6 before that. Like Snell with an unusual pitcher's number. Didn't get a story on why. Big Lou Gehrig fan?
You think?
Do too. He was blown away. Well, he was a big Seattle Mariners fan growing up. He idolized Randy Johnson, but just as much Jamie Moyer, who was so effective despite not throwing 95 and had a great stretch with Seattle. But, you know, two left-hand pitchers who could not have been more different, and Snell grew up watching them both. This will be the 9th pitch of the at-bat to Bautista with Cabrera on deck. And Jose goes around to the half swing, and that's the second out. So Snell has his first strikeout. Came into the day averaging 10.2 strikeouts per 9 innings, 8th in the American League.
Pretty much over the top with that fastball. And there you see that is a swing. Cabrera hitting .283. An equal opportunity employer. He is .283 against left-handers, .284 against right-handers.
1 for 4 last night, drove in a run, and he takes ball 1. Cabrera, a former Tampa Bay Ray. He spent the 2015 season playing for Tampa Bay. Line the other way, and Cabrera's got a base hit. So Asdrubal just keeps on hitting his 92nd hit of the year.
Ball away, going right with it. Look at that. Eye on the ball, shoulder in, driving right at the pitcher. That's how you hit the ball the other way. And the Jeep Ray defense. Ramos, of course, behind the plate, the former National. Crone, the big power hitter over at first base. Look at Carlos Gomez. Mets almost had Carlos Gomez back, if you recall, in that trade in 2015. Wound up with Cespedes, who had the tremendous 2 months that carried the Mets to the division in the playoffs.
Meanwhile, Gomez went to Houston and was awful.
Yes.
The final 2 months. Conforto 1 for 4 last night. And he hits one into the shift. 1 hop for Robertson. And that retires the side. Mets got a double and a single against Snell, but nothing cooking. No score after 1. day in New York. 29 pitches in the first inning for Steven Matz. He faces Carlos Gomez leading off the second, and he won't waste any time. Gomez swings at a higher percentage of pitches both in and out of the strike zone than anybody in the major leagues. And he's having a real rough go of it. Hitting just 195 for the year. He was hit by a pitch last night. That's been the best part of his game this year. He's been hit by 11 pitches, and Matt's a guy who hits a lot of batters. Change up, line into right center, and Gomez has a base hit over in the gap to try and cut it off as Nimmo, but he can't handle it cleanly, and Gomez easily into second base.
I don't think that would have mattered with Gomez's speed. That's a double all the way.
So the second straight inning that the Rays have had a leadoff hit.
Well, the Rays left 10 men on base last night, had multiple opportunities. And today they're off to another smashing start out of 3 on in the first inning.
Last night 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position. They were 0 for 2 with runners in scoring position in the first inning today. And now a chance for the number 8 hitter Johnny Field, who was a late addition to the lineup when Adames was scratched. Field hitting just .215 in his rookie season through 163 at bats. 5th round draft pick by the Rays in 2013 out of the University of Arizona. Rosario keeping a close watch on Gomez, and Field takes a borderline strike. Well, it's one of those innings for Matz where you give up a leadoff double, but now you got a light hitting number 8 hitter and then a pitcher who very rarely has swung the bat waiting on deck. Field fouls back the fastball, and it's 0-2.
Big swing from Field. Not a very controlled swing.
The World Cup going on, I have to ask if he was a soccer player, would his name be Pitch? And the curveball has eluded Matt so far. 1-2. One good one to Ramos to strike him out. But other than that, that pitch today so far is a work in progress. Seen a lot more of that from Matz. Just a better acknowledgement of potential base stealers. Field hits a comebacker. It goes by Matz right to Rosario, who throws out Field. Well, that worked out perfectly for the Mets as Gomez had to retreat to second base.
Tough chance for Gomez here. You're not sure the pitcher's going to make the play. Matz makes an effort at it, and you can't break.
Also fortunate in terms of the bounce for the Mets, because that could have taken a left turn after Matz deflected it. So it's a 1-6-3 put out. Now Snell up and fouls off a bunt attempt. You don't see too many teams ask even a pitcher to bunt with 1 out and a runner at second. But Snell's 0 for 7 in his career, and they figure that's probably the best thing for him to do rather than swing the bat. And now he is ready to swing, and he takes a strike. Snell 0 for 7 in his big league career, his first plate appearance this year. Rays haven't had much luck in these interleague games. They're 3-10 against National League teams this year under Kevin Cash. And the curveball is down, 1-2. These interleague games for the American League pitchers put them in unusual spots. Last night Hunter Wood was used as a pinch runner, nearly scored the go-ahead run in the 9th inning, but was tagged out by Mesoraco after an uneven throw by Flores. And for the first time in a long time, it's the National League leading in the overall interleague series, and that ball hit Snell, hit him on the pitching hand, but he appears to be okay. He'll go to first base.
A glancing blow. We'll see.
Well, he certainly didn't react as though it hurt.
No, it didn't hit his hand at all.
Did it hit anything?
I think it hit his just below the shoulder. Which would be, well, no, they're looking at his hand. It grazed his hand.
Well, that, of course, is a tremendous concern. That left hand is the engine for Blake Snell. He appears to be just fine. Let's see if we can hear it in. One little shake and he was done. So 2 aboard for the Rays in the second. Back to the top of the batting order for Kevin Kiermaier, who had an infield hit and stole a base in the first. So more traffic for Matz, who got out of a bases loaded jam in the first inning. Anyway, we're talking about Hunter Wood, the pitcher for the Rays, who pinch ran last night. And from the Tampa Bay Rays notes, turns out that in their history, and this is their 21st season, they have had 10 pitchers pinch run, including Wood last night. And one of those 10 was a journeyman pitcher named Mickey Callaway.
How about that?
Who was briefly a Ray. Bounce to second, might be a chance for 2. Cabrera gets the out at second, but no chance against Kiermaier's speed. So they get the second out as they force Snell 4-6. Gomez goes to third. Now they're 2 out.
Boy, I tell you, with Kiermaier right now, he is not staying in there on the left-handed breaking ball at all. He's bailing. Just give him a steady diet of breakers.
Still battling his way back after missing 2 months with a thumb injury.
So 2 more men on base. Let's see what happens with Tampa Bay, who has just left a ton of men on base so far in this series.
Matt Duffy flied out to right his first time up. Duffy 0 for 5 in this series so far, but he has been the Rays' best hitter for average all year. Grounded down to third, and Frazier will go the short way, and Matz gets out of another jam. Rays are already 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position today. Middle of the second, no score. To catch every moment this season, get New York Mets home screen icons and features such as the MLB.TV Game of the Day, pitch tracking, in-game highlights, live radio broadcasts, stats, news, and more. Download MLB at Bat today. Best building in the city.
You got that right.
Wilmer Flores takes a strike from Blake Snell as we start the bottom of the second. Wilmer had an 11-game hitting streak stopped last night. Matched the longest of his career. He went 0 for 4 in last night's game. And he rips one down the left field line. He'll get a new streak started. Wilmer has been struggling against lefties this year. Has the Mets' third hit against Blake Snell. Second straight inning, the Mets have led off with a double.
Hanging breaking ball again, and Wilmer up to the task. Snell on the road in 10 starts is 5-3 with a 3.47. He's been absolutely lethal at home in 8 starts.
It was Todd Frazier. He doubled last night in 3 trips. Frazier has been mysteriously quiet against lefties this year, hitting just 164 against left-handers. He tops one foul. But things have been looking up for Todd lately. Last 6 games, 7 for 21, 333, couple of home runs. Trying to get some kind of hot streak started. He hasn't seen that since the early days of the season.
Good fastball.
97 right by Frazier. Snell's last 3 starts, he's worked to a 0.84 ERA. He's been that good. And not only overpowering teams, but overpowering good teams. Keith mentioned 2 of those 3 starts against the Astros, one of the best offensive teams in baseball.
Nice block.
And I don't know how you face the Astros and don't give up 4 hits to Altuve every night.
Well, I'll tell you what, in those 2 starts, oh my goodness, Gary, the one at Houston, he walked 7. Only gave up 3 hits, 7 innings, only 1 run, so he pitched out of some jams.
And in between, he started against the Nationals and completely obliterated them with just 1 hit over 7 innings.
Only struck out 10 his last start again at home against Houston.
Long set, 1-2 to Frazier. Back through the box. That'll be a productive out as Robertson throws out Frazier, moving Flores over to third. So this time the Mets safely get a runner to third. And we'll look to cash in against Snell. We'll see how the Rays play their infield against Kevin Plawecki. They're going to bring him in.
They're going to bring it in is correct.
Plawecki has been on a nice streak his last 10 games, hitting .310, and 7 of his 9 hits in that stretch have been for extra bases. Infield up all the way around. And Plawecki takes a pitch at the knees for a strike. Snell started the day 3rd in the American League in earned run average. 8th in strikeouts, and he could use a strikeout in this spot. One to Plawecki, and he fouls off the fastball. Snell is one of the rare pitchers who works from the center of the rubber. He used to pitch on the third base side. They moved him last year, and he felt as though it was one of the things that got him turned around. Put him right in the middle of the rubber.
Something as basic as that. Nothing intricate about a simple move on your positioning on the mound. He's not getting that hard curve over You can see him jumping around here. He's been a little frustrated trying to find that release point on his breaking ball. He's either been in the dirt hard or he's hung it.
Two and two to Plawecki with Rosario on deck. And Kevin goes after that curveball, and Snell has a strikeout to pin Flores at third. Now they're 2 out. Second strikeout for Snell.
Take a look at the motion. Keeps his hands up by his face in the stretch. A little open. Another guy that doesn't step directly home, Garrett. A little bit towards the first base side.
Rays are intentionally walking Ahmed Rosario. So they'll face Steven Matz with first and third and 2 out. Abracadabra.
You got it.
Hocus pocus.
Hey, Rocky. Watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat.
Again. Here's Matz. 3 for 27 this year, 1 RBI. And he takes a knee-high fastball for a strike.
Nick Lenz behind the plate. A pitcher's umpire. He's got a high strike zone, and he calls the knees. Calls it. That's what the strike zone should be.
Used to be the pitcher's umpires were the ones who called the ball 2 or 3 inches off the outside corner.
Rusty Staub, the late Rusty Staub, our dear friend, said when he went to the American League that they really called that pitch. He said some were almost a foot outside, and Rusty was not one to exaggerate.
Oh, but that happened in the National League too. Remember Levon Hernandez in the postseason against the Braves.
How about Glavine?
Right. Well, Glavine got it consistently, but he was so spot on that they would set up off the plate and he'd hit the glove and they call it every time.
Rusty told me when he went to the American League that's why he made the move to get on top of the plate.
Matz chases a fastball away, and Snell works himself out of trouble. So both pitchers have been able to extricate themselves early. No score. Best struggled through the middle innings at times, but Jacob deGrom wound up with another phenomenal start last night. 8 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, a walk, 8 strikeouts. Another no decision game for Jake, but a game the Mets ended up winning, which they have not done often enough in deGrom starts, despite the fact that he leads the major leagues in ERA.
I thought he threw a terrific game. I mean, the numbers don't lie, but I thought he had good command, and he made the one boo-boo to Adames, the home run, and he gets a ND, Notre Dame.
Danny Robertson walked his first time up. Well, that was the 125th start of Jake's career. In 57 of them, he's allowed no runs or one run, and that's
pretty
the
awesome.
most of any pitcher since they started keeping track.
That's pretty awesome.
And now 15 straight starts of 3 runs or less. The longest since Doc Gooden's 24 start stretch in 1985. Change up line to center. Nimmo measures it. 1 out. By the way, the 24 for Gooden, 24 straight starts, 3 runs or less. That's only 1 shy of the major league record in that category. The record was set by King Cole back in 1910. 25 straight starts of 3 runs or less, but that was the dead ball era.
Yes, it was.
Here's Wilson Ramos, and he reaches and fouls one off. Ramos was called out on strikes his first time up. Ramos having arguably the best offensive year of his major league career. 77 hits, which is 18 more than any other catcher in the American League. And he flies one out to right. Bautista shading his eyes as he goes. 2 out. Be in Citi Field Saturday, July 14th, when the Mets take on the Nationals at 4:10 p.m. The first 25,000 fans in attendance will receive a Mets reversible rally cap, courtesy of M&M's. Never seen that before. For tickets, visit Mets.com/tickets. So it's a ready-made rally cap. It functions as both a right side out and an inside out cap.
What will they think of next?
I think that's great. I mean, anything that streamlines the process of performing a task. Line into right center, a base hit for C.J. Cron. Bautista won't be able to cut it off, and Cron will get 2 bases out of it. Cron's 14th double of the year. It comes with 2 out in the 3rd.
This ball's just a rocket, and it just scoots right by Bautista out there. Goes to the wall. Couldn't run it down, cut it off.
So another runner in scoring position for the Rays. They're now 0 for 14 with runners in scoring position so far in the series. Echeverria had a chance in the first inning with the bases loaded, ran the count to 3-1, but flied out to end that threat. And now Matz has to tiptoe his way through another. And he blows one by Echeverria, 0-2. See Matz more and more recently working up in the strike zone following Jacob deGrom's lead. Another high fastball. This one's grounded down to Flores, and Wilmer takes it to the bag, and Matz is through another crisis. Works around the 2-out double. Scoreless game in the 3rd. Best bobbleheads of all time revealed. See if Keith makes the list on Mets blog presented by Citi, featured on SNY.TV. You better make the list.
I don't know about that.
You know which one I love?
Which one?
The Jesse Orozco bobblehead
yes.
with him tossing the glove.
Agreed. That's got to be right. Yeah, that'll be in there. That's automatic. They should have made a one with Tank and
tackling Ventura.
Yes, Ventura. on the supposed
Grand Slam.
Pseudo Grand Slam. Yes.
Blake Snell's been a little vulnerable. He's given up leadoff doubles in each of the first 2 innings. Nimmo had a rocket down the right field line, leading off the first. And the curveball in for a strike, 1 and 2.
Well, Nimmo stays in on left-handers, and he got a good eye.
Two one coming, and it's up and away, 3-1. Here's Spectrum high-speed pitch. It's Snell by a skinny MPH. Bautista and Cabrera to follow, and ball 4. Nimmo's on base for the second time. Second walk given up by Snell, and for more on the Rays lefty, let's check in with Steve Gelb. Steve.
Gary, in the last inning you mentioned the move that Snell made from last year to this year, pitching more in the middle of the rubber, and how that has helped him have the type of season that he is having. I spoke with Kevin Cash as well today, and he said that with Snell, probably the biggest change he's made is to his mechanics. Last year they noticed he was really overstriding, throwing across his body, and it affected his fastball velocity. Early last season, his fastball was sitting right around 93, 94. They got that fixed in the minor leagues in Durham last year. He came back up, and since that time into this season, he's really sitting 96, 97, so he's added about 3 miles per hour to that fastball, which has obviously allowed his other pitches, his off-speed pitches, to play up as well.
Well, it's very similar to the velocity lift that Zach Wheeler's got this year. Although in Snell's case, he may have modified his delivery, but he still throws across the body.
He still does, slightly, ever so slightly.
Well, the change started last year in August when he came back from his last stint in the minor leagues, and since then 30 starts, and you see the numbers there, 16-5, out impressive ERA. I mean, think about it this way. And take pitchers' wins for what they are, but he's got 11 wins this year for a team that's only won 43 games.
Yep.
That's 25.6% of their wins. Now, it's not Carlton in 1972. Lefty won 27 for a team that won 59. 48% of his team's wins, all-time record. And Bautista lays off, and it's in for a strike, 2-2.
Here's the motion. Watch the front foot. Watch the plant stepping. Now he's got to come across his body. He's not stepping directly home. A little bit towards first base, and sometimes that will lead you to leave that ball up and away to a right-hand hitter. Because you got to come across your body. Really got to make sure.
Bautista strikes out. Quick throw by Ramos, and Nimmo gets the hand back. Bautista is out. Second time he's been struck out today, and the fourth for Snell.
What's unusual about the motion and the throwing across his body, normally guys that throw across their body, as Snell does, are more 3/4 or sidearm almost. He's peculiar because he comes over the top.
Here's Cabrera, who poked one the other way for a base hit his first time up.
All right, now you can see right here that Matt's is 3/4. These are both curveballs, as you can see, but definitely Snell is over the top, big time.
Lays off the changeup, and it's 1-0. A lot of traffic for both these pitchers early in this game. Matz has had runners in scoring position against him in all 3 innings and worked through it. Hooked in the air to left. Field coming toward the line will get there. And Cabrera retired, 2 out. So 2 away. Conforto coming up. And I wish I had asked the question of Michael before the game about how much and whether he faced Snell in high school, but you have to figure that they did. Both were high school stars in the Seattle area.
Well, Michael,
both 25 years old.
Got the shift on again. He hit into the shift his first at bat. Hit it hard, but right at the second baseman, which is designated on your screen, folks. Our guys in the truck don't miss a thing, I tell you.
Very good labeling.
Yes.
Nimmo at first with 2 out. And a good curveball by Snell, 1-2.
And that's what's been giving Michael trouble, that off-speed breaking ball from left-handers and right-handers. It's just out in front. He just cannot lay back.
So it's a timing thing more
Yes.
than a pitch recognition thing?
I would get him on that curveball machine, those 2 tires. I hope I have time to explain. There's strike 3.
So Snell, after a leadoff walk, gets a couple of strikeouts and keeps this game scoreless. We're going to keep it here at Citi Field to
With an American flag that has flown over Citi Field is Mets pitcher Corey Oswald. First Data salutes those who serve.
First Data and SNY salute the veteran of the game along with those service members who made the ultimate sacrifice in defense of our nation and to the service of the entire military community. Fourth inning with no score. Carlos Gomez leads off against Steven Matz. Gomez doubled to right center his first time up. And And Matz runs a slider inside. It's 2-0. Lower third of the order, Gomez, Field, and Snell against Matz, who could use an easy inning. Gave up a leadoff infield hit in the first, a leadoff double in the second, a 2-out double in the third. Rays are already 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position today, which is really good for Matz's numbers in that department, which have just been phenomenal lately, but not so good in terms of keeping your pitch count down and getting deep into the game. Matz threw 109 pitches in 5 1/3 in his last start. That was mostly not his fault because of errors made behind him, but he got a win out of it. And Gomez takes a fastball for strike 3 call. Not often that Carlos Gomez gets caught looking. Second strikeout for Matz. SNY Play Ball presented by Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center is back, teaming up with the New York Jets. We're looking to help local football leagues with grants, equipment donations, clinics, and Jets game experiences. Does your league need assistance? Apply today at sny.tv/playball. Johnny Field. Field hit one off Matz's glove, and Rosario threw him out. And Matz fires a fastball on the inside. 1-1. It has really been one of the gratifying pieces of this otherwise dismal Mets season to watch Steven Matz and Zach Wheeler come of age.
Well, it's been around 3 starts now where I've been watching Steven carefully. Zach also. Zach, because of the split finger, has really turned him around. Matz is no longer giving away his changeup and is slowing down his arm speed, altering his point of release, and he's doing it on his breaking ball too. Now he's not doing it, so he's not tipping his pitches. So that's a big hump.
So with Matz and Wheeler both performing well and both staying predominantly healthy this year, it has sparked conversation about whether the Mets, if they're not going to trade DeGrom or Syndergaard, should cash in one of these guys for prospects. That's driven to right center field, and that ball is going to go up the gap. It's another extra base hit. Field digging for second. He's going to pull in there with a 1-out double. The third double in the last 3 innings for Tampa Bay.
All 3 doubles to the opposite gap. Stayed nice and level on that pitch, a little below the letters. Fields can run. Field, excuse me, singular.
Just one field. Snell takes inside ball 1. Anyway, I think it's an interesting intellectual discussion, and obviously it's going to come down to what the conversations are between the Mets triumvirate in the front office and opposing GMs and what gets offered. But I guess the existential question for the Mets is, do you revel in the strides that Matz and Wheeler have made and believe in them and think that combined with DeGrom and Syndergaard, that going forward over the next couple of years the Mets can build around that quartet, which may be better than it's ever been if they're all healthy? Or do you cash in one of those chips and try and rebuild other parts of your team? Do you deal from strength, or do you stay put?
I just think the most important thing is that Matz has always had that elbow issue, and they move the nerve, and he has been healthy.
Right.
And you see this 2 starts that he missed this year had nothing to do with his elbow.
Right.
So that's very promising. I think he's over that. And I think that's a big hurdle for him now, that he can let it go and not worry about tweaking that elbow anymore. I don't know. I just always believe that pitching is the name of the game, Garrett. It's a real tough decision to be made. You've got some players with multi-year contracts. couple years that you're going to have a hard time getting rid of. I mean, if you want to move people, what is they're not going to have the value.
Well, the guys they're obviously going to try and move are the guys with expiring contracts like they did last year. Cabrera, Familia at the top of that list. But what happens after that depends on how you look at yourselves as an organization going forward. Fly ball out to left by Kiermaier and back to get it Conforto, and that retires the side. So Max continues to excel with men in scoring position. Still no score. Tomorrow afternoon, Chris Flexen will come up and start for the Mets. Coverage begins at 12:30 with City pregame live tomorrow on SNY. Flexen against Nate Eovaldi, former Yankee who has a blazing fastball. No hit potential every time out.
Blazing fastball, but the secondary stuff is like a lot of guys that come down the highway.
But when he's on, man.
Yep. Well,
it's tough. Wilmer had to double down the left field line his first time up, and Snell keeping the ball away from him. Snell has given up a leadoff base runner each of the first 3 innings, 2 doubles and a walk.
You know, a former Mets like Eovaldi, I always think of Craig Swan, who threw very hard but just had a so-so breaking ball. Craig, if you're listening in Connecticut, I'm sorry, we're buddies.
You know he led the league in ERA one year. He'll tell you
I know that. I know. He can continue his Rolfing.
And Flores has another base hit. I have never been Rolfed, but I've heard that it hurts.
I heard it
a lot.
It's deep.
It's like
I've never
beyond massage. I mean, they like rip your muscles apart.
Yeah.
So Craig, don't do that.
So I said.
Now Todd Frazier. So the Mets continue to get the leadoff man on 4 innings in a row now.
Mike Scott's the other guy.
Well,
he threw bullets and
until he had developed the quote-unquote splitter.
Well, he had the splitter. It was the fastball that he cut the ball up on and make it run. Yeah, the splitter was legit, but he had an average breaking ball.
Frazier grounded out his first time and takes the changeup outside.
I mean, if Craig Swan would be in the high 90s on the guns today, Mike Scott would be probably close to 100 miles an hour. Mike Scott just blew serious gas.
Now, Did you see Mike Scott when he was a Met?
Yes, 6 home runs off.
Well, that was going to be my
as a
point.
Met.
So was it just developing the splitter that made him into the star he became?
The splitter definitely made him, but also he's a very bright guy, and he learned how to pitch. And he basically was a 2-pitch pitcher. And when he cut the ball, Gary, and he did cut it, it was always on the wide height of the ball. That's on a wide part of the seams. He would cut it on the rawhide, and he would make it run a foot or maybe more one way or the other. He'd make it run away from a right-hander and away from a left-hander. And he would pitch upstairs with it, and his ball took off like Ryan's because he threw so darn hard. And then it had that run to it. And then he'd throw the splitter in the dirt. He was up and down the ladder pitcher.
Now, I know that you guys were eagle eyes in terms of picking up tells from pitchers as to what they were going to throw. So I know that you've had your eyes glued to him at all times. As Frazier loses the bat, Glenn Sherlock has to get out of the way. Some pretty good length on that javelin.
Lost the bat last week.
Well, he threw the one in the outfield down in Miami. So my question was, you knew he was cutting the ball. Did you ever figure out how he was cutting the ball?
We were of the impression that Alan Ashby was doing at the catch what Yogi did for Whitey Ford. Vern Hoshite was our bullpen coach, and one game that Mike Scott pitched against us at Shea, he came down. He never left that bullpen. He was the top sergeant out there to keep those clowns in order out there. And I say that affectionately. Vern came down for the
curveball in for a call third strike.
Sorry, Gary.
Sorry, 6 strikeouts for Snell. Go ahead.
Vern came down one game that Mike started. Old crusty Vern, and he sat where Rusty used to always sit in the dugout on the first base side. And at the end of the game, he said, I don't know. He couldn't find out. He could not discern where it was coming from, who was cutting the ball, where it was going. He watched everybody. He couldn't pick it up. I didn't want to let it bother. Everybody got off. Gary Carter drove him to bats, to distraction. Ray Knight, surprisingly, of all of my teammates on that team, it really bothered Ray. And I tried to downplay it by saying, you know, listen, he's got to throw the ball over the plate. I wouldn't make a big deal about it in the paper. I think it fed into the mystique and really psyching us out.
Yeah.
But he was good. I mean, no right-hander beat us. There were 2 right-handers that in the 80s that beat our team, and that was Scott and Kruko. 2 entirely different pitchers. Kruko was an artist with a big curve. So it looks like we've had 2 very good pitchers here that were in all kinds of trouble the first 3 innings that are possibly finding the range now.
Another good curveball, and it's 2-2 to Plawecki.
If you don't get the good pitchers early, when you got them on the ropes and you're just a base hit away from a base hit or 2 away from putting them into an early shower, and you let them escape, it's just 9 out of 10 times they find it and they just close the door on you.
Struck out Plawecki with a curveball the last time. And this time Kevin's able to stay alive. Well, the thing about Snell this game, he has been pitching out of the stretch virtually the entire game. That's about the leadoff man on in every inning. And
he's starting to throw a more crisp breaking ball now, finding the range, throwing it for a strike.
Flores at first with 1 out. Yeah, He pulls one to third, should be two. Duffy to Robertson and on to first for the 5-4-3 double play that gets Snell through the fourth. A lot of work for both starting pitchers, but still no runs on the board after 4.
Tampa Bay Rays. Matt Duffy leading off for the Rays, and to say that the road back for Matt Duffy from an Achilles injury has been long would be a huge understatement. Took a year and a half, an injury that originally was supposed to take just 3 to 5 months to get back from. And Duffy said that in those moments, as it was taking longer and longer and he felt like he was spinning his wheels, he wondered if he was ever going to be able to play baseball again. Started actually thinking about the future, maybe going back to college. He learned about investing, stocks, real estate, and really thought that that might have to be the path. Luckily, they figured things out. It didn't come to that, but it had really gotten to that point for Duffy where he had to consider life after baseball so early on in his career.
And another lost bat. Both these lefties causing bats to fly all over the place. Well, Duffy came up as a star. I mean, his first full year with the Giants, he was spectacular. It was 2015, finished second in the rookie year balloting. I mean, the Giants figured that they had 2 young infielders to grow on with Duffy and Joe Panic coming up about the same time.
And Gary, that's actually probably the most interesting part of the Duffy story, because looking back on it, he said this past year and a half has been a big learning experience and growing experience for him, because he came up and was such a star early on in 2015, but he did not have a good 2016, and he didn't know why that was the first half of 2016. So he said in contemplating it, what he realized is that for the first time in his career, as he doubles down the right field line, he was tight in 2016 because of the success that he had in 2015. He said he was chasing it in 2016, which is different from many guys. He said when he first came up, he always heard that when you have your first success, that's when you relax. But for him, it was the opposite. He was unable to relax after the success because he felt the weight of the expectation.
That is called your sophomore jinx. It is psychological. You come up and you can have a terrific rookie season, no expectations, and then the club and their PR departments, they blow you up and they expect this from you, and it doesn't happen.
Cabrera on the backhand, and he throws out Robertson, a productive out as Duffy gets to third. Well, how many times can Steve Matz tiptoe out of trouble? Rays are already 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position, and now they've got a runner at third with 1 out, and Wilson Ramos coming up.
Infield in, nowhere to hide here. Ramos followed by Cron, the two big guys in the lineup, and Matz has got his work cut out for him.
Ramos has struck out and flied out 0 for 2. Well, Matz has been something of a magician so far. And the curveball sits high, ball 1. He's given up doubles in each of the last 4 innings. That is not a recommended path.
All opposite field.
Rays were 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position last night. They're 0 for 9 already today.
They've left 7 men on base in the first 4 innings.
Ramos grounds one to short and booted by Rosario, who would have had a play at the plate. He does throw on Ramos and gets the second out, but that ball was hit sharply. Duffy was running on contact. Rosario would have had every chance to throw him out at the plate, but couldn't handle it cleanly, and the Rays take a 1-0 lead.
Let's see what he does here. He charges, gets the in-between hop, and Duffy, who runs well, he just did not have the glove in a position to field the ball there.
So 1-0 Tampa Bay, even though they still don't have a hit with a runner in scoring position. C.J. Cron bats with 2 out and nobody on. Cron has walked and doubled, and he sends this one down the right field line foul, and it's 1-1. So this time the leadoff double caught up with Matz. A couple of productive ground balls to bring in a run.
Duffy on contact, left the screen. He had time really not to come in and rush that.
In sharply, and Rosario picks that one and throws out Cron to end the inning. So the Rays strike first halfway through 1-0 Tampa Bay. Mets down 1-0 as they come to bat at the bottom of the 5th against Blake Snell, who has given up a leadoff base runner in each of the first 4 innings and found his way through each time. He'll face 8, 9, and 1 in the Mets batting order. Rosario has intentionally walked his first time up and takes a changeup for ball one. Matz on deck, then Nimmo corners in against Rosario. And he takes a fastball for a strike, 1-1. Blake Snell trying to keep intact his remarkable run of pitching. And sneaked to the right side. Robertson, the spinorama, and he got him. That's quite a play by Robertson against the speed of Rosario. He had a long way to go and spun him through perfectly.
It's kind of a sidewinder off the end of the bat. And they're not going to challenge. This is a fine play right there, and a big out with Rosario with speed. That's not an easy play right there. That is a fine play.
And Rosario gets a shot in the head for his troubles. Here's Matz.
The Braves are in Milwaukee. Boy, they've lost 4 in a row, and they need a win.
Well, with those 4 straight losses, the Phillies are now in first place.
Yep.
The latest in a season that the Phillies have been in first place since 2011, when their great run ended.
Gabe Kapler was laughed at in April, if you recall, when he said the Phillies will be in the postseason. He was scoffed at.
Well, they tied a record last night. They played with the Pirates a 4-hour and 30-minute game, which tied the longest 9-inning game in National League history. But worked out fine for the Phillies. They scored 17 runs and won 17-5.
The Braves won the opener in that 4-game series in Yankee Stadium and have lost 4 since.
Matt strikes out on a pitch in the dirt. Ramos makes the toss down to Crone for the second out. That's 7 strikeouts now for Snell.
Nice hustle by Matt. You never know. You run to first base on a strikeout, catcher could throw it away. Now 99 out of 100 times, maybe 999 times out of 1,000. He's not going to throw it away, but it might happen.
Now Nimmo has been on base twice. Doubled, but then was caught trying to steal third in the opening inning, and then he walked in the third. So here's an interesting fact about Blake Snell. He's a left-hand pitcher. He's a left-hand hitter. Does everything else in his life right-handed.
Exactly. I saw that.
Including writing. How does that happen?
I don't know.
Top down to first. Easy play for Crone right at the bag. And that retires the side. Snell has his first 1-2-3 inning right after getting the lead. After 5, 1-0 Tampa Bay. Drive around the majors presented by Audi. Matt Harvey pitched pretty well again, but the Cubs scored 4 in the 8th and beat the Reds 8-7. Danny Echeverria leading off in the 6th. Starling Marte has the Pirates on top of the Phillies. Phillies have won 5 straight. Pirates have been just dreadful lately, giving up tons of runs. And the Braves with the early lead in Milwaukee. Echeverria skies one to right. Bautista uses his glove to shade his eyes. 1 out. Let's check in with the studio. Eamon McEnany has a game break brought to you by your Tri-Honda dealers. Ben Zobrist with the big hit in that 4-run 8th, a 2-run double. Cubs started the day 2.5 behind the Brewers for the lead in the NL Central. Carlos Gomez has doubled and struck out, 1 for 2. Matt's up over 90 pitches for the day. Good curveball as Gomez flailing 2-2. Snell just had his first 1-2-3 inning. Matz hasn't had one yet. Another curveball hit back to Steven. 2 out. Every time he does that, I think about the fact that Steven played first base in high school, and I always think like he wants to go over and be over there again.
I think he's right where he should be on that mound. It's always good to shorten the distance, you know, if you can do that.
Well, some pitchers just don't feel comfortable crow hopping and throwing. Johnny Field doubled to right center his last time up. One of 4 doubles Matz has allowed today among the 5 hits he's given up. 4 doubles and an infield single. That's it. Summer day in New York. Shadows starting to play a factor. Curveball at the feet of Field, 2-1. Shadow at the grandstand, just reaching home plate now.
Steven's got to be careful. He's starting to kind of nice change up right there. I was going to say on a couple of those curveballs he was starting to just kind of alter his arm motion, but he comes back with a beautiful change up.
His best pitch against Miami last time out, and he comes right back to it to strike out Field and end the inning. So Matt says his first 1-2-3 of the day. Mets will try and get some offense going, down 1-0 in the 6th. Ooh, look at that. device with live streaming presented by Verizon. Just visit SNY.TV or download the NBC Sports app today for live streaming coverage of every SNY Mets game. Lights are on to try and even up the shadows a little bit as we go to the bottom of the 6th inning. Let's go in the 3rd time around the batting order against Blake Snell, who's had plenty of traffic but is not allowed to run through the first 5 innings. Bautista has been up twice, struck out both times. And he takes a changeup for a strike. That's Dribble Cabrera on deck, then Michael Conforto.
Bautista has been uncomfortable against left-handers since he's had the orange and blue on. He is hitting over 300 against the right-handers, but coming into the game 171 against the lefty. He's been having a hard time. That's about the only criticism that you can have on his game so far.
Well, he came into the day with a .432 on base percentage as a Met. That is phenomenal. Cabrera on deck, then Conforto. By the way, last night Bautista, as we've mentioned several times, hit his first walk-off home run for his career. 37 years old, and it got Elias to looking up. The oldest Mets to hit walk-off home runs as Bautista strikes out for the 3rd time. The only players older than Bautista hit walk-off home runs for the Mets, it's a great group of 3.
Big Russ.
Rusty Staub. Gil Hodges, who was 38, played for the Mets in their first season. And Henry Blanco, the backup catcher, who was also 38. And now Bautista, the 4th oldest. 3 strikeouts today for Jose, though, and here's Cabrera, who's 1 for 2. Cabrera had his base hit to right field in the 1st inning, then he flied out in the 3rd. Blake Snell trying for his 12th win of the year. And Cabrera pops one up. Robertson calling as he goes, called off by Gomez, and there are 2 out. And so Snell has settled in and retired the last 7 he's faced. And now it's Conforto who's grounded out, taking a call, 3rd strike, 0 for 2. You know, when I was trying to find out the numbers for Conforto against Snell when they were in high school, I found out something I didn't know before. Michael Conforto, when he was in high school in Seattle, was his team's closer.
I believe that.
He struck out 26 batters in 12 innings in his senior year in high school. Who knew? I mean, I guess all the best athletes do some pitching.
Yes.
When they're in high school. You did, right?
Yes. I was right there with Lefty Grove.
I didn't know you were that old. Severino's pitching today for the Yankees. As Snell chases him for the AL wins lead. Good curveball. It's 1-2. And that pitch continues to bedevil Mr. Conforto.
High fastball.
And Michael swings through it for strike 3. 9 strikeouts in 6 innings for Blake Snell. He is as impressive as advertised. We go to the 7th. 1-0 Rays. Seventh inning, Steven Matz just threw his 100th pitch of the day. Blake Snell takes a strike. Snell batting for the third time. He was hit on the pitching hand by a pitch, but came through that okay. Took a call, third strike in the fourth. Let's have Robert Gazelman up in the bullpen in case Matz needs help here in the seventh. But you got two left-hand hitters to start the inning. And so Matt staying in to face Snell and then presumably Kiermaier, and then we'll see what happens after that.
Oh, let him finish.
Late swing foul. Kiermaier had to run for his life.
Yeah, you never take it for granted in that on-deck circle or in that dugout. And the pitcher up.
At least in the dugout now with the fences, you can duck. No place to duck in the on-deck circle. Three-two coming. And he missed. Ball four.
Oh, that could have gone either way.
That is that's got Matz really kicking himself.
Wow, because I tell you what, Nick Lenz has been a pitcher's umpire, and this could have gone either way. It's borderline. It had plenty of plate, but it was borderline knees, and we'll see.
Chief Pitchcast says it was right at the knees. Matz walked two in the first inning. He hadn't walked anybody since.
Let's see if they bunt here with Kiermaier. He's only hitting around barely over a buck against left-handers.
Kiermaier has had an infield hit, get into a fielder's choice and fly it out.
Boy, he's really bailing on the breaking ball, Kiermaier.
He fouls off the fastball and it's 0-2. That's now at 108 pitches. His season high is 110. He threw 109 in his last start. Most he's ever thrown in his career is 120. That was in 2016. One-two coming, and Kiermaier can't stop the swing on the curveball, and Matz has a strikeout.
I mean, if I you know, that's going to be it for Matz. I would have bunted with Kiermaier because he's looked so terrible off of Matz. Index finger there on that spiked curveball.
So Matz throws 110 pitches. He's out after 6 1/3. Another fine outing for Steven. He goes off dejected after walking the pitcher leading off the inning, but he allows just one run as he takes his exit. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon. Gazelman coming in for Matz. 1-0 in the seventh. We'll be right back. Robert Gazelman in to face Matt Duffy, who fouls off his first fastball.
Roberts hit a kind of a little bit of a speed bump. He's had a tough time giving up runs in 3 of his last 4 outings, including that 3-run homer to Solarte up in Toronto. That big blast. He's been up with his pitches.
Duffy gets badly fooled and a sinker running in on him, and it's 0-2. Matt's 6 1/3 innings, 1 run so far, 5 hits, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts, 110 pitches, and pretty exasperating. 0-2 to Duffy, and that just missed. 1 and 2. The recent numbers on Gazelman are just beyond ugly. His last 7 appearances, 7 innings, 13 runs, 13 hits, including 3 home runs. An ERA over 14 during that span. That's a foul ball. But on the plus side, his last outing Wednesday, threw 1 pitch, got an out from the only batter he faced against Randall Grichuk. Now the Mets are hoping that he gets pointed back in the right direction, because it's hard for that bullpen to function without an efficient Robert Gazelman. 1-2 coming. And Duffy grounds 1 to short. Rosario in, gets the out at second. Cabrera's relay is in time for the double play. I didn't think that ball was hit hard enough, but Rosario hustling in to get it started, and the Mets turn a 6-4-3 double play to get Matz and Gazelman through the inning.
All about Rosario charging here, coming to the ball quickly. That's the difference in this pair.
Stretch time, still 1-0 Tampa Bay. All right, Eamon. Phillies going for their 6th win in a row. Meanwhile, Steven Matz, you see his final pitching line, and with that performance, Matz has lowered his season ERA to 3.31, which is good enough to be in the top 10 in the National League. That's how good Matz has been after a sluggish start. Wilmer Flores leads off the 7th against Blake Snell. Wilmer has had his number, a double and a single. 2 of the 4 Met hits today.
In the shadows now. Playing Wilmer to pull on the infield.
How often do you get a matchup of two number 4s? Line the other way, and Wilmer's got his 3rd hit. 4 in white, Mets 4 in blue. And the Mets have the tying run aboard. 5th time in 7 innings, the Mets have had the leadoff man on against Snell.
Would you be inclined to pinch run here, Gary?
It's a little early.
7th?
Yeah.
Okay.
If it were the 9th, for sure.
So Wilmer getting that left-handed flare back. He's always been the guy that kills lefties and been struggling this year against them.
Because the thing is, if you pinch run for Flores, you have to use 2 players. You have to use Reyes to pinch run, and then presumably Smith to go in and play first. That leaves you with only 2 players on the bench, and you're going to have to bat for the pitcher at some point.
That's why I can't stand 4-man benches.
And one of those 2 is Kazmarski, who's had, what, 1 at bat since they called him up?
You just hamstring your manager.
Frazier is grounded out and struck out 0 for 2.
He needs to go the opposite field.
Foul tips the fastball, and it's 0-2.
Big right side of the infield open for Todd.
Plawecki on deck.
Robertson shaded up the middle at second base. They got the first baseman holding on the runner. You see right there on your lower half. That's 1st and 3rd right there. Ooh, Snell wanted that one.
What does PitchCast say?
That's one of the best curveballs he's thrown. Let's see if it's a strike.
Appeared so. Ramos didn't really help him out with the way he caught it. 1-2. Tap back to Snell. Out at second. Robertson to first for the 1-4-3 double play.
Boy, oh boy.
Second double play turned by the Rays infield today.
Well, pitcher's best friend. And right here late in the game on a 1-run game. Oh, that just takes the pressure off. Good slide by Wilmer trying to break up. But you can go take him out there. He's in front of the bag.
So 2 out and nobody on now. Plawecki, who struck out and grounded into a double play. Anthony Swarzak up in the Mets bullpen in case the Mets have to bat for Gazelman, whose spot is 2 batters away. 2-0 to Plawecki. Well, Blake Snell continues to enhance his status as one of the most exciting young pitchers in the game.
Well, he found, he found the range of that curveball. Remember the first 3 innings, he was struggling mightily. Pitched out of it, and those good pitchers, boy, you can't let them up.
Behind on Plawecki, 3-0 with Rosario on deck, and there's a strike. Coming into the day, they were batting just 179 against Snell, the best mark in the American League. Mets have actually done well to pick up 5 hits today. Plawecki draws a 2-out walk. It's the 3rd walk given up by Snell. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Jim Beam, the official bourbon of the New York Mets. So now Rosario, who was robbed of a hit on a fine play by Robertson going to his left his last time up. And that one's grounded to Echeverria. He rolls over and gets the force to end the inning. Echeverria, who's always been a force with his glove, shows that off. Nice roll. Over we go. Fading away and right on target. 1-0 after 7. brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. Eighth inning, 1-0 Tampa Bay. Robert Gazelman starts his second inning of work. Ball got loose on the warning track, and Jose Bautista is retrieving it.
I noticed today, Gary, that Russ, our stage manager, has been very prompt with your reads, getting the copy in front of you, your coffee.
Is. He always is.
You cracked the whip.
Me?
Yes.
No whip required. Russ is front and center every day, like the rest of our crack crew. Johnny on the spot. Did you guys set that up?
Hi, Russ. Russ always gets me gummy bears.
And Robertson is hit by the pitch. And the Rays have a leadoff base runner in the 8th.
Not a good start to the 8th. Ball ran in.
And right on the belt. Second time Robertson's been aboard today. This game has been replete with leadoff base runners, but only one run has scored. And if Rosario had been a little tighter with his defense in the 5th inning, there'd still be no score. There's Ramos, who drove in that run with the ground ball to Rosario, and he pokes one the other way for a base hit. Robertson will pull in at second, and the Rays have the first 2 men on against Gazelman.
Now that's nice to see, hitting behind a runner.
First hit in the series for Ramos, who came in red hot.
Sinker wanted to be in. Look at it, it's up again, belt high out over the plate.
Now we'll get a pinch hitter. Jake Bauers will pinch hit for C.J. Cron. Bauers, who started last night at first base, went 0 for 4 and a couple of balls hard.
And remember, the Mets do not have Blevins or any left-hander out in that bullpen.
Blevins is away on the bereavement list after the passing of his grandmother. That's called up Paul Sewald to take his spot. So Bauers bats with first and second and nobody out. Certainly not sending him up there to bunt.
No.
Echeverria and Gomez, a couple of right-hand hitters to follow. And Bauers goes after a first pitch sinker and fouls it off. Geico Sports Night comes your way at 11 o'clock tonight. Trade deadline news. Well, sure, 24 days away, so approaching the deadline news.
That's too late for me with the day game tomorrow, Gary. I'll be asleep.
Well, I'm sure you can tape it. Tyler Batchelor up in the bullpen for the Mets. You know, the nice thing about Geico Sports Night, it plays at 11, but then it plays again
in the morning
and again and again. So if you miss it,
I'll see it in the morning.
There you go. I knew you'd figure it out.
I'm going to stay in the city tonight. I'm not making the trek back home.
Diego Castillo up in the Rays bullpen. He pitched last night. 0-2 to Bauers with Echeverria on deck. And Bauers goes down to the curveball for the first out of the inning. 3 pitches and done. 1 away.
Big breaking ball ahead in the count. Don't have to throw a strike. From the stretch, hair flapping in the wind. Over the top, 3/4.
So now Echeverria, who's 0 for 3. So 3 balls to the right side, 2 fly balls and a ground ball. And yet the Mets are shading Cabrera toward the bag at second. Go figure. Leaving a big hole on that right side of the infield.
And they got Wilmer way off the line. I like that. Cabrera's got to push off.
I always like that shoulder patch on the net uniform. Teixeira really gets down and crouches. Big wide spread legs, far apart.
Snell pours one in, and it's 0-2.
Always wondering what's going on in an RBI situation. You got a 1-0 count. And he's up there taking all the way. I no comprendo.
It is 1-1. Carlos Gomez on deck. You don't think of Teixeira as being a particularly patient hitter.
And then he gets an RBI situation and takes on a 1-0 count.
Curveball misses, and it's 3-1. I mean, all those years that Teixeira played in Miami, he was a tremendous defensive player. And they always expected him to do a little better offensively, hoping to teach him to be a little more patient at the plate, much like the Mets are doing now with Ahmed Rosario. But it never quite worked out that way.
He was in that big trade with Detroit, right? That came over from Detroit. Am I correct? Was that part of that deal, Teixeira? Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not sure.
He might be.
I think he was, Garrett, if I remember correctly. I think it was a big deal.
3-2 with one out. Robertson at second, Ramos at first, not running, and Teixeira goes down on the sinker. Back-to-back strikeouts for Gazelman, and there are 2 men down.
He swung at a ball 4, by the way.
Good movement on that sinker. So 2 out, and now Gomez, who doubled to right center back in the second, then struck out and hit a comebacker against Mats.
Came over from Toronto. That's where he came
the big
from.
deal with
yes.
Yeah, that was with Reyes, right? Reyes going to Toronto, same deal.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh for 20, including 0 for 12 today with runners in scoring position. Sinker misses for ball 1. Gomez was one of those guys who sat out on the free agent market for most of the winter. He didn't sign until March, well after spring training had begun, after playing last year in Texas. And it's been a struggle for him. Another good sinker by Gazelman. He's got good movement down. 1-1. A hit batsman and a single to start the inning. Gazelman has struck out the next 2. And Gomez yanks one foul into his own dugout. It's 1-2. It's hard to get a ball into the dugout these days.
Yes.
I wonder if guys are as alert in there as they once were.
Well, you got to get it through the gate. You open the opening.
One-two coming. In the air down the left field line. Hooking foul.
That was a mistake, and Gomez too quick. The ball up in the strike zone. He can snap a little curve on him in the dirt, get him to go fishing.
He does chase. Highest chase rate of any hitter in the major leagues. Hooked in the air. In comes Conforto, coming on, and he can't get it. And the Rays will get a run out of it. Robertson scores, Ramos to third, and now Gomez breaks to second. Ball was lollipopped into the infield, and Gomez took the extra base. A little flare into left that falls for a hit, and then compounding the mistake, ball tossed in listlessly, allowing Gomez to go to second.
Well, Rosario just forgot about
the batter, the back runner. There he goes, gets the ball. He just totally forgot about Gomez.
2-0 Tampa Bay, and Gomez takes full advantage, even though he fell coming around first. Still plenty of time to take second. Good effort by Conforto. He just couldn't get there.
Bloop. The Mets find themselves down a run. That's just a bad break right there.
And now Mallex Smith is going to bat for Johnny Field to get a left-hand hitter in against Gesellman. You got the pitcher spot due up next, and they've got Joey Wendell, another left-hand hitter, on deck to pinch hit. So the Mets get to choose whom they want to face here, Smith or Wendell. Smith started last night in right field, went 1 for 4. He had a triple off the fence in right center. Wendell played as well last night and went 1 for 4. So they will pitch to Mallex Smith. Second and third and 2 out. And it's in for a strike. And that's really a shame, because Gesellman had done some really hard work to get himself on the brink of getting out of the inning. And Gomez just put the ball in play, made something happen.
Well, the hit by pitch, the lead off the inning, is the killer. That's the run that scored.
Spinning curveball is high, 1-1. Well, for Rosario in the field today, that's 2 mistakes. 1 physical with the infield in, booted the ground ball, allowed the first run to score, and that one mental, just forgetting about Gomez and lollipopping the throw in. Grounded to the right side. Wilmer corrals it and makes the play to end the inning. But the Rays tack on a run on Gomez's 2-out hit. 2-0 Rays in the 8th. Tampa Bay left-hander Blake Snell, 9 strikeouts along the way.
Well, he struggled the first 3 innings, but in those 3 innings he struck out 5. Look at the breaking ball, sharp. Look at the fastball upstairs, very up and down the ladder. Drops a hammer, high fastball. He's got good stuff.
And he's still in there to start the 8th. They were ready to pinch hit for him in the last half inning. Jake Bauer stays in the game at first base. Mallex Smith in left field after they each pinch hit. Jose Reyes will pinch hit for the Mets, leading off in the bottom of the 8th. Batting for Gesellman with the Mets down 2-0. It'll be Reyes, then Brandon Nimmo and Jose Bautista. Reyes 3 for 22 as a pinch hitter this year. And Snell quickly falls behind him 2-0. Mets have gotten the leadoff man on 5 times in 7 innings against Snell, including a pair of leadoff doubles, and yet they are still without a run. Reyes' bullpen is staying busy, but with the left-hand hitter Nimmo on deck, Snell will probably stay in at least that long. He gets a call on the outside corner, 2-1 to Reyes.
Well, that run is key right there. That second run gives a little breathing room for Snell. Can't afford to walk Reyes.
And he picks off the inside corner, so he got one on the outside, one on the inside, and then leaves Reyes befuddled with home plate umpire Nick Lentz. Here's the second one. See if Pitchcast has it as a strike. And the curveball fouled off. Snell has thrown as many as 114 pitches in his career, both this year. He's never gone more than 7 1/3 innings in his big league career, and he did that in his last start. That's pulled down to third, a base hit for Reyes. Tracked to the line by Smith. It goes by him into the corner. Reyes to second, takes the turn. He'll hold on there with a pinch hit double. And the Mets get something started in the 8th inning. Their 3rd leadoff double, and the 6th time in 8 innings they've had their leadoff man on.
Breaking ball. Just out of the reach of Duffy. Misplayed down the line, but a little good recovery by Smith.
Reyes had a notion, but took the wise course and stayed at second. So now what is likely to be Snell's final batter with Nimmo coming up. Brandon has a double and a walk today, 1 for 2. Tying run at the plate in a 2-0 game. Brandon has hit 3 of his 12 home runs this year against left-handed pitching.
No guarding the line, or guarding the first base line. That's about it.
Nimmo swings through a fastball, 0-1.
96. Reaching back for something extra right there. Threw it by Brandon. Sign of a good pitcher.
Well, he knows, I'm sure, that this is his last batter, so he's going to lay it on the table. They've got the right-hander Castillo, the left-hander Alvarado up in the bullpen for Tampa Bay, with Bautista on deck.
Ooh, good. Another good fastball. That's outside corner paint.
Not often did he get the call when catcher drops the ball. '25-year-old Blake Snell has just been everything he's needed to be today, working out of situation after situation all day long. Off the plate, 1-2 to Nimmo. Interesting decision about to come up for Kevin Cash, because Snell has struck out Bautista all 3 times up, and as you noted earlier, Bautista has struggled more against lefties than against righties.
Correct.
So I wonder whether they would leave Snell in to face Bautista, even with his pitch count elevated. One-two coming. Check swing, and he did not go around. Nimmo gets a pass from Brian Knight.
Good eye.
Let's see, did he swing?
No. You're talking 2-strike hitting right now. Okay, he tried to throw that hard curve to get him to bite. He's going to think opposite field here. Think fastball out over the plate, and Snell's going to get a little help here. They're not going to want to give a sign. They're going to say, I want to throw this. Yes, I like that.
I think he's going to come with some serious gas away. And again, you've got that left side of the infield here. Echeverria up the middle. And it's a big, look at that. You can drive a truck, drive a freight train through there. No sign. They already made their choice.
As long as they both remember. 2-2. And another curveball. Again, he couldn't get him to bite. 3-2.
Interesting.
Well, a huge pitch coming up. You know that Nimmo rarely swings at pitches out of the strike zone. Walk would put the tying runs on base and almost certainly drive Snell out of the game. He might be done anyway. He's walked 3 today, struck out 9. Reyes at second with nobody out. Bautista on deck. And Nimmo hits one off the pitcher's foot. It deflects to Robertson, and he throws him out. That was a sure base hit, except that it hit Snell in the foot. That kept it from going up the middle and cost the Mets a run.
That is so unfortunate. What a nice at bat from Nimmo. They're not going to challenge. That is just. That is a base hit all the way is right, Gary. That is just a tough break.
And that's going to be all for Snell. They're going to bring in the right-hander to face Bautista. That was a move that blew up on them last night when they walked Nimmo, and Bautista hit the walk-off grand slam. But Snell is out after 112 pitches over 7 1/3. And they'll bring in the right-hander Castillo to face Bautista. 2-0 Tampa Bay. We'll be right back. He leaves after 7 1/3 innings. That matches his career high. It's the backup catcher Jesus Sucre with his arm around Snell.
Having a long conversation while the pitcher was warming up.
Well, Diego Castillo worked 2 innings last night. He's right back out for more this afternoon.
2 scoreless.
21 pitches in those 2 innings. Reyes at third with 1 out. Infield back with a 2-0 lead. And Bautista, who struck out 3 times against Snell, now gets a different look.
I would keep the ball away from Bautista. He is so quick inside. Conceding the run, of course.
Bautista takes a cutter for a strike, and it's 1-1.
And Bauer's over at first base, way off the line. I would even get deeper to cover more ground. I would push back another 10 feet. Another slider. Infield kind of shifts over now, a little up the middle, more up the middle.
1-2 coming. Up and away with a fastball, 2-2. And Bautista pops it up. Robertson right behind the bag. 2 out. So Bautista does not get the run in. And now it's up to Cabrera with 2 out, and Reyes still at third.
Cabrera again I would keep the ball away from Cabrera. Cabrera's got more power from the left side of the plate.
And now the Rays manager Kevin Cash is going to make a double switch. This is something that American League managers are not accustomed to doing, so he's making sure his P's and Q's are in the right place. Jose Alvarado, the left-hander, will be coming in. 2-0 Tampa Bay in the 8th. We'll be right back. Ninth, and Jose Alvarado, the rookie left-hander, will come in, and he'll hit 8th.
Went 2/3 of an inning last night, struck out Conforto and got Cabrera to fly out to right.
And Cabrera is his assignment here.
A
with
rematch.
Reyes at 3rd and 2 out. Yes, Alvarado Cabrera 2. The return of Alvarado Cabrera. As Dribble had a base hit back in the first inning, 1 for 3 today, tying run at the plate in a 2-0 game. And he gets one in the air to shallow center field. Kiermaier edges over and puts it away. Alvarado throws 1 pitch, gets the job done, and that sends us off to the 9th with the Rays still up 2-0. All right, gentlemen, People's United Bank brings you today's starters. Matz was good, Snell was better, and it's 2-0 Rays as we go to the 9th.
And Anthony Safar coming in to pitch. It has been a tough time for Anthony since coming off the DL.
His last outing in Toronto gave up 3 runs in a third of an inning.
And his quotes were he's trying to find his slider. He had the abdominal injury in spring training. Missed a good portion of the season.
Missed more than 2 months. Made just 2 appearances in the first series of the year and then was gone for more than 2 months. Joey Wendell up for the first time, came out of the double switch in the last half inning. 1 for 4 last night. And he bloops one out at the left center. Nimmo's not going to get there, and it lands for a base hit for Wendell. So Swarzak is greeted by a 2-strike opposite field hit by Joey Wendell.
Just really a kind of a bloop or a soft liner. Not even that. I can't even call that a soft liner here.
Now Kevin Kiermaier, who is 1 for 4 today, an infield hit to lead off the game. He stole a base. They opted not to bunt with him in the 7th in a similar circumstance. This time Frazier creeping in as though he's expecting a bunt, but Kiermaier swinging and he flies one out to center. Nimmo back, has plenty of room. Back to first base goes Wendell, 1 out. So Kiermaier first pitch swinging, and Swarzak has an out. Now he'll face Matt Duffy. The Rays 2 runs and 8 hits. First run scoring on a ground out with the infield in, where Rosario had the ball go off his glove and Duffy was able to score. Second run scoring on a 2-out bloop hit by Gomez that just fell in front of Conforto. So it's not as though the Rays have had a lot of offense going. They got shut out in their last game of their Marlins series on Wednesday. Scored 1 run last night and then 2 today. So 3 runs in the last 3 games for the Rays. In the 9th, the Mets will have Conforto, Flores, and Frazier coming up. Presumably they'll have the lefty Alvarado start the inning with Conforto. And then perhaps Sergio Romo after that. He's been doing most of the closing for the Rays, but not exclusively.
And it looks like Philadelphia is 3 outs away from a 3-2 victory. The Braves have jumped up the 5-1 lead in the bottom of the 8th in Milwaukee.
Well, the Phillies will be here on Monday to start a 4-game series, starting with a doubleheader, twilight doubleheader, old-fashioned, on Monday, 4 o'clock.
All 3 of us together. We're back in the saddle again.
It's like the 3 amigos.
We need sound effects.
And Swarzak misses low, and it's 3-1 to Duffy with Daniel Robertson on deck. The other game involving NL East teams is Miami and Washington tonight. The Nats won last night. They've now beaten the Marlins 13 straight games. Mark Reynolds walk-off home run last night. 3-2 to Duffy. And of course the Nats will be in next weekend. We're actually starting Thursday, another 4-game series. And that takes you right to the All-Star break.
Yes, it does. Do you have plans?
I do. I will be at the beach.
I will be at my hacienda.
In Havana? 3-2 with 1 out. Wendell's running, and it's fouled away. Every time I say the name Wendell, my brain says Turk.
Yes.
Right?
With the rosin bag.
Number 99.
We were talking earlier today, because the season started earlier, that it's going to be what, over 90 games?
94 games.
94 games at the All-Star break.
Yeah. So it's not exactly first half, second half. Yeah, you have the early start. Season began March 29th, and you have a relatively late All-Star break. So it certainly front loads the season. Seventh pitch of the at bat coming to Duffy. Wendell runs, and it's up high, ball 4, and Swarzak puts himself behind the 8 ball. 2 men on, 1 man out. Robertson coming up. Daniel Robertson has been aboard twice in this game, a walk and a hit by pitch. He scored a run in the 8th, otherwise 0 for 2. Hitting 3rd in the order today, only the 5th time he's ever done that. There's Sergio Romo, the former Giants right-hander, master of the slider and the Mephistophelian beard. Robertson punches 1 foul, 0-1. Fouls with the slider, and it's 0-2. Anthony Swarzak had the best year of his career by far last year, pitching for the White Sox and the Brewers, and it inspired the Mets to sign him to a 2-year contract. And thus far, the Mets are waiting for the payoff. (0-2) coming, and the dirt stopped by Plawecki. 1-2. Wendell at second, Duffy at first with 1 out.
Yes.
And the fastball catches the inside corner. And Robertson is down looking for the second out.
It's always a good pitch with 2 strikes. Lock him up.
So 2 out and 2 on. And now Wilson Ramos.
Right there, good pitch, inside corner. You know, it's interesting when you're a player and you take that pitch and you look down like he did, you see the path of the ball go over the plate.
A contrail. Well, what you have to do if you want to get that call as a hitter, right, you have to do what Jeter always did.
Jeter and Frank Thomas.
Just jackknife out of the way as though the ball was about to hit you in the belly. Yeah, Thomas was great at that too. He drew 100 walks every year, Frank.
Frank Thomas was, I got to know Frank in the Fox postseason, and we had a wonderful time together. And our philosophy at hitting was very similar. He loved the opposite field gap. So Frank and I were talking the same language.
And now Swarzak gets in on Ramos 0-2. Ramos lines one past Rosario, base hit. Wendell heading home. Conforto's throw to the plate is too late. And the Rays tack on a run. Ramos, another 2-strike hit against Swarzak to make it 3-0. Second 0-2 pitch turned into a base hit by the Rays in this inning.
Well, Duffy could have advanced. Good hitting. Sliders up. That's why they got it outside. There's no relay man here. Wilmer Flores is not there. Duffy could have advanced to third. I think he was surprised there's got to be a cutoff man there.
Well, Ramos has been in the middle of all 3 scoring plays for the Rays in this game. Here's Jake Bauers up for the second time.
Just out of the reach. And not even close at home.
Bauers struck out as a pinch hitter in the 8th. Almost drove in the first Tampa Bay run with the ground out. He had the base hit through the vacated hole on the right side to help build the second run, and now he drives in the third run with a base hit. Now Swarzak behind on Bauers, 2-0. And a 2-0 slider misses, and now 3-0 with Echeverria on deck. By the way, for Wilson Ramos, who was always a med killer when he played for the Nationals, he's now played 72 career games against the Mets, 59 RBIs.
Yes, he's a killer.
I mean, he'd drive in 140 runs a year if he played against the Mets. 3-0 swinging, a fly ball out to center field, and Nimmo is there to retire Bauers and end the inning, but the Rays tack on another run. A run in the 8th, a run in the 9th. And the Mets will get last licks down by 3. Wilmer Flores up second in the inning. We'll try and pull off some 9th inning magic. 3-0 Tampa Bay. By your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. So far today for the Mets, it's been nothing. Jose Alvarado got the last down in the 8th. He'll stay on for the first batter of the 9th with Michael Conforto leading off. Michael's 0 for 3 today, and turning the bunt with the shift on, and the third baseman Duffy playing pretty far back.
Absolutely.
And why not do it again?
Why not?
Need base runners any way you can get them. Duffy's a little closer now, but still far enough back that Conforto could certainly leg out a bunt. And he does square. This time he takes a strike. Things are not going well for Michael. 5 for his last 35. Flores having a good day. He has 3 of them at 6 hits this afternoon. And then Frazier behind him. Two balls and a strike. Blake Snell went 7 1/3 for the Rays. No runs, 6 hits, 3 walks, 1 intentional, 9 strikeouts. Lowered his ERA to 2.09. Diego Castillo got 1 out. Alvarado got 1 out. And now trying for a second. Conforto takes one the other way, and he's got a base hit to start the last of the night. Well, that entire at bat was a nice piece of work by Mr. Conforto.
Fastball outer half away, not trying to pull it. Put that in your video, the vault.
That's going to be all for Alvarado. Gives up the base hit to Conforto, and now Sergio Romo will come on for the save chance. 3-0 Rays in the 9th. We'll be right back. Brought to you by Spectrum. Hey, Mets fans, get the best TV, internet, and voice service today at Spectrum.com. By your local Ford dealers for great deals on Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs. Visit BuyFordNow.com. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit Geico.com to see how much you could save. 35-year-old Sergio Romo on to try and get the save for the Rays.
Well, Sergio, of course, the former San Francisco Giant, in a 3-year period, saved 75 games for the Giants. 38 was his high.
I thought the organ was never going to stop.
I love that organ.
Wilmer is 3 for 3 today. And he takes a fastball for a strike. Wilmer had a double down the left field line in the 2nd. A single to left in the 4th. A single to right in the 7th. One day after his 11-game hitting streak ended. So the times are good offensively for Wilmer right now. Conforto at first, nobody out. And Wilmer gets one in the air to shallow center. Kiermaier comes in. Plenty of time to get under it. 1 out. So Flores retired for the first time today. 1 out and 1 on for Todd Frazier. Todd is 0 for 3 today. 2 ground balls, one of them into a double play, the other at bat a strikeout. When the year began, Alex Colomé was saving games for the Rays. He was dealt to Seattle, and Romo took over the closing duties after he became the first of the openers for the Rays back in May. For First time was successful, second time not quite as successful, and now he's back in more familiar territory, finishing games rather than beginning them.
No, Romo, first two right-hand hitters he faces, leads them off with fastballs away to get ahead. Is a slide baller all the way. Loves that slider.
I mean, even before the current emphasis on throwing breaking stuff, and here's two straight fastballs to get ahead. Romo's always been a guy who throws his slider more than 50% of the time.
Right.
This year, 57% of his pitches have been sliders. Also mixing a changeup every now and again. Frazier gets a slider, flies one out to left center. Kiermaier comes over, and that's the second out. So, after the leadoff hit by Conforto, Romo comes in to get fly balls from Flores and Frazier, and thus the Mets are down to their final out of the day. And Kevin Plawecki coming up. Plawecki has struck out, hit into a double play and walk. Mets have been shut out 6 times this year. The Rays have 6 shutouts for their pitchers, and they are 1 out away from another one. And a slider in for a strike, nothing in 1 to Plawecki. It is July the 7th. The last time the Mets won back-to-back home games was in the middle of May. That's the slider. Conforto runs. He'll take second on defensive indifference as the slider misses low. 1-1 to Plawecki. Trying to keep this thing going. If he can get on, then Rosario would come up as the tying run. He swings over that slider, and it's 1-2, and the Mets are down to their final strike.
He is a side armor, and he is double trouble against right-hand hitters. That big old sweeping slider.
Goes to the fastball and misses away. 2-2 to Plawecki. Sergio Romo last year split his season between the Dodgers and the Rays. It was very odd to see him in a Dodger uniform, particularly for the Giant fans. With the depth of that rivalry after 9 years in San Francisco. And he misses away. Good discipline by Plawecki to run the count full.
That's the one thing he didn't want to do here. But watch him drop a slide ball right here on Plawecki.
Mets need another base runner any way they can get one to have themselves a chance. Three-2 from Romo. Slider pulled foul. It stayed up, but Plawecki got ahead of it. Blister in the sun. Seventh pitch from Romo to Plawecki. And the slider gets him looking, and the ball game is over. Romo comes in and with dispatch gets 3 outs, and the Mets are shut out for the 7th time this year. The Rays get just enough offense for Blake Snell, who goes 7 1/3 for his 12th win as they even up the series, beating the Mets today 3-0.
Well, a very good pitchers duel here. Matz continues to throw well, but my goodness, Blake Snell wins his 12th ball game, goes 7 1/3, 6 hits, no runs. He only needed 1. Really impressive outing from Snell.
So the Rays continue to get outstanding pitching. They've had the best pitching in the major leagues since the middle of May. They're back to 500 for the year. Game summary presented by Fidelis Care. Matz was really good today, but suffers his 6th loss, lowered his ERA to 3.31, top 10 in the National League. but not good enough today. Rubber game of this series tomorrow afternoon. Chris Flexen will come up to make the start for the Mets. Nate Eovaldi goes for the Rays. Coverage begins at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon right here on SNY. Now for Keith Hernandez, Steve Gelbs, and our entire SNY crew, I'm Gary Cohen at Citi Field. Time for WB Mason post-game live. Let's join Gary Apple and Nelson Figueroa in the studio. Guys.